Hello, everybody at the Elephant and Castle community. I am Nick from Retribe, and joining me today is a good old friend of mine, Lee Mercer, the owner and GM of the Haringey Huskies, who play out of Alexandra Palace. And Lee also has a day job working for His Majesty's Prison Services. And Lee, I'm so happy that you could join us today. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's good to be here finally. I know we've tried to set this up a couple of times and it's not happened for one thing or another, but we're here now. So let's chew the fat. Let's see if your listeners can take some value from this.
Yeah, I am actually literally chewing fat right now too, because I'm doing a keto diet, so that's good. Dude, I've put so much weight on over the last 6 months, and I have got a hip surgery coming up, so I'm trying really hard to lose a few pounds. But
I'm not going to talk about weight and lockdown and stuff. That's just,
okay.
Yeah, let's move on from that.
We'll forget about us getting older as ex-athletes too. And what I would love you to do is just introduce yourself to the Southwark community, the Elephant and Castle community, and just let people know who you are and what you do.
So yeah, as Nick explained, my day job, I work for Her Majesty's Prison Service. I've been based in London. I'm in my 20th year actually, so I get a shiny medal for that. Always been sort of based down in London prisons, so I know how much prisons affect the local communities. As Nick explained, I played ice hockey since I was about 8 years old. Growing up in Scotland, I played for the Fife Flyers. I grew up in probably the best junior coaching system in the UK in Fife, with Alan Anderson and Chip Cotterill and Jimmy Simpson, all those coaches. Then, I moved down to London as I got older and worked. I've always played hockey in and around Haringey, spells at Romford and things like that. But Alexandra Palace has always been my kind of spiritual home. As anyone that's been up there will know, the view outweighs the ice hockey, actually. The view is just incredible. Opportunity came to run the senior team in there, and I took it up as I was coming to the end of my career. And for me, it wasn't just about running an ice hockey team, it was about the community. I think stuff like the community and stuff, I think that's all starting to come to fruition now. We had the Haringey Mayor there and things like that. So it's all about getting these types of people, mayors, MPs, local ambassadors for the communities, getting them involved, because I think hockey and sport in general and communities, I think they go hand in hand, really. They should be working in partnerships. It's hard for whether it's junior football team or junior hockey teams to get funding, but also it's a great night out for families. Like one of my ethoses when I took over was I'll always make sure that a family could come to watch the hockey and it'll be cheaper than the cinema. That was kind of my personal tagline. And so far we do it well. We sold out Alexandra Palace at the weekend again. So the next step on the journey is we just keep growing, really. We just want to keep getting into the community, get community involved. Adam, Mayor Georgie of Haringey, is really keen to do some work. So by all means, if you give us a little follow or a look up our page, we're going to do a lot of exciting work in the up and coming season. That not only affects the Haringey community, but will have all communities in London. I think we all get affected by knife crime and crime in general. So we're going to try and do a lot of work around that with the Mayor's support, and just highlighting these dangers, but also giving young people an outlet. I think I could let you into one of the suggestions. So one of the suggestions is I've got 10 tickets that I'll give to the Mayor. There'll be Mayor tickets. So he can give to sports clubs and maybe underprivileged kids that maybe parents can't afford to take them to the hockey and stuff. So they can come on a Mayor's ticket. I know Alexandra Palace is excited for things like this. So that's our sort of our next year's goal is to get people who wouldn't really normally access ice hockey, give them the access, really, give them the in to come and watch. So yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a
I
bit
know
about
in
me.
44, you've just said everything that I want to kind of unpack, and we physically couldn't do it in 45 minutes, but I want to go to you growing up, like I want to get big into London because I want people who watch this to understand what ice hockey is. And like you talking about, it really is the community sport here in London. It's far more accessible for families, than a lot of football teams. And we can get into that, but let's go to Lee growing up in Fife. How did you get exposed to ice hockey, and what did it do for you as a young lad?
So I lived in a place called Kirkcaldy up in Scotland, and I was fortunate enough to have next door neighbours. His name was Gordon Latto, which I'm sure the hockey world will know. He's a Fife legend, to be honest. He had two sons that were a little bit younger than I am. So that's kind of how it started. My uncle, he played for a team in Glenrothes Jets. And my dad used to watch the hockey quite a lot with Fife. He helped out the Flyers when he was younger and things like that. So hockey was always there. Again, just started playing street hockey. Then it just evolved into playing ice hockey. Like, I remember my dad cycling to Fife Ice Arena with my kit on his back. Like, things weren't easy growing up, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? My mum and dad, they worked so hard and I owe them a lot, actually. Now I think about that, and Mother's Day coming up on Sunday, maybe my mum deserves a little bit extra. But yeah, it was hard for them. And then, because they didn't have a car straight away, then they got a car, and then they saved and they sent me to the Czech Republic. I played and trained in the Czech Republic for a little bit, in Zitor, and I just had really good coaches. Like Alan Anderson was probably one of the biggest influences of my junior career. He coached Chibi under 18s and things like that. And we had like the best team, like growing up, like Andrew Finlay, Darryl Venters, Wayne Maxwell. Then you had like young Kyle Horn. Like, our junior system was the best in the country, probably slightly behind a Durham. And for those of you that are old enough, will know Durham Wasps. And then there's other influences, because I played for Glenrothes a little bit before I joined Fife, kind of like not a feeder club, but you got more ice time with a team like Glenrothes and things like that, and you learned more. Curly, his name was, he was a coach. Again, big influence on how to play the game, play it the right way as a junior. And he probably taught me, actually, that it's just about playing. Like, just enjoy the game. And then you got into my teens, as you go through the Fife ranks, made my debut for the Fife Flyers. Just then it became surreal, really, playing for your hometown club. Then you had other influences like Mark Morrison, ex-New York Ranger. He was previously the assistant coach for the Mighty Ducks, Anaheim. I think he's back in Manitoba now. It's just, when I look back, it's like, wow. We played at Wembley. We made the best. It was the best of British, which I don't think they do anymore. But as under 16s, the two best under 16 teams in the country used to play at Wembley. So it used to be a finals weekend. It's Nottingham now, but the finals weekend was in Wembley, and fans would amass from everywhere, from absolutely everywhere, to come to this finals weekend. I think that's what ruined British hockey. I think it should be back at Wembley, in my personal opinion. I
Love
Heineken,
the Wembley days, yeah.
I think that's where I fell in love with Heineken, to be honest. But yeah, we had our goalie, Colin Grubb. At this one game, we drew 1-1 with Swindon. Game tying goal, by the way.
There you go. Nice.
There you go, at Wembley. But Colin Grubb was just a brick wall that day. He was just phenomenal. And Swindon had players like Neil Lydiard, who still plays with Swindon Wildcats, Lee Braithwaite, Gareth Endicott. So, like, British hockey at junior level was just a wealth of British talent, which probably leads on to another little subject, that I think that talent's still there. I just don't think British ice hockey utilise it well enough. I think there's too much of an import influence now. Well, your era ruined that, really, the Secunda Super League, but well,
hey, I was in TV back then, buddy. I was in TV, but I played in, I think, the best time, with the 3 import stuff. I loved it in the early 90s. Was just, man, it was awesome.
Yeah,
hockey was awesome.
It was, and it was huge. It was flourishing. I think it started to flourish again, actually, the more I look around, and especially with the new ice rinks in Bristol. We've been fortunate to play at Cambridge this year against Lee Valley Lions, and what a lovely ice rink Cambridge is. Like,
it is.
Who knew? I did not know that was there until this season. So there is places, but yeah, I had a great growing up. I got every opportunity going, from my coaches giving me opportunities to my parents giving me opportunities. I was very fortunate, very fortunate.
And how did you end up in London? And let's get into ice hockey here in London, and we can go. Let's do your story. How did you? What brought you to London and playing here?
So what brought me to London was work, really. I played a little bit for Sheffield, in the Sheffield area, Nottingham Lions. Matt Bradbury, who again is doing amazing things, coaching kids and his sports network. Really good stuff. Then I just applied for the prison service. They sent me to London, and yeah, that was it. I was in North London, little boy from Scotland, bright lights in London. It was mad when I first came down. But yeah, I've carved out a career, although it may have been, some people watching this might think it's a bit shaded. Yeah, 20 years in the prison service. I've worked Pentonville Prison is where I started. I worked at Wormwood Scrubs. I'm doing a little bit of work at the minute at Chelmsford. I've worked with juvenile offenders at Huntercombe. So yeah, I've done a fair amount. To be fair,
you've done a lot in basically in the sporting world and in the prison services. You worked in traditionally masculine environments, and we can get into that in a little bit, because I know that it's something that you and I are both passionate about. Is are these masculine environments and being able to help men process emotions, and I mean, I personally think that if we can create spaces for that, we can make the world a safer space. But again, I think these are two, like, we could go on and on in two different kind of avenues here, but I want to stick to ice hockey here in London, because London has had ice hockey for an awful long time, and you mentioned Wembley and the Wembley Lions, and then you have the whole Alexandra Palace era of the Greyhounds and the Racers, and and now the Huskies, Streatham, who are doing really well now, and then on the outskirts, Medway and Slough, Chelmsford up north, and there's always been hockey in London. And then in the Super League era, when hockey was probably at its highest caliber, the London Knights tried it for a few seasons out of the arena, which is now a bunch of flats in the Docklands. Nice looking flats, very expensive, but it was something that ice hockey is always, it's going to do well here, but it's so hard to make it a success out of it because of the cost of living and bringing players in. But certain teams have managed to find a balance, and you are definitely one where you get sold out 1,200 people in a game. I mean, I was there for the game against Cardiff it was in the semi-final, right, of the cup. And Lee, the atmosphere is on fire. Now you're in the NIHL 2 Division South, right? So explain that league and how many imports you're allowed, and what that league is meant for.
So what the league's for is the answer is I don't know, because and this is only my opinion. And if anyone from the EIHA is listening or watching, then this is my sole opinion. I don't know what it's for. I don't know. I know the structure, but I don't know if it's supposed to feed the league above, and then they feed the league above that. But what it has done is it's grown into an exceptionally competitive league. So it's a tough league, but it's also split in two. And I think the year before this season, it was 2 different divisions. they've brought the two divisions into one league, which personally I think is the best thing they did. So you have Guildford, who are, well, the league winners. They won the division on Saturday, unfortunately, against us. But we chased them down. We were close. We just didn't go over the line, which is fine. We'll take that back as a team and we'll look at that and analyse that. Then you've got Peterborough, really good team, are really close behind us. Then you've got Streatham. Now, Streatham NHL 2 team, they, for me, they've been great this year, absolutely great. I think they play good hockey and things like that. And they're really good. I know Ryan really well, and it's weird because we had a conversation. They ultimately beat us at home, which probably didn't cost us. Well, it did cost us 2 points, and that probably would have narrowed the gap, and we would have took the league to the last game of the season anyway. And we were talking, and he turned around and he said, "I just want us to be like you." I was like, "Wow, I don't do compliments very well. Everybody loves them, but I don't do them very well." And that was a huge compliment, that he just wants to run the club the same way as what we are doing in Haringey. So that's good that we're running the club the right way. And then after that, you've got Invicta. They're a bit up and down, but again, they're a good, gritty team. On their day, could beat anybody. And then you've got Cardiff, who, they're just there. They're just middle of the table. And then you've got teams below that. Basingstoke struggled this year. Lee Valley struggle every year, but Lee Valley, for me, they put on a team year on, year out, which again is a London-based team. I know they're playing out of Cambridge, but they're getting a big new complex at Lee Valley soon. So they deserve huge credit for continuing to play, really. They really, really do. So it's a bit mixed top to bottom, but it's a good competitive league.
So if you don't quite see it as if it hasn't fit itself in as like a farm system to develop players to go up, or to actually have its own competitive kind of microcosm of hockey in the UK, how do you see it? Like, what do you want out of the young guys that play for you? Like, do you want them to just really excel in that league, or are there going to be a handful that you say, hey, we're going to start letting teams above us know that these guys exist and they perhaps would excel in a more competitive league? You know, how do you see it, and what do you want Haringey to be in that league?
So our goal this year was obviously to be champions this year, and it's widely rumoured that they want us to go up a division. The amount of times I get asked that question, are you going up? Are you going up? Are you going up? We'd love to go up. Absolutely love to go up. However, there's a little thing called funding and money. And we worked out that it would be in the upper region of about 30 to 40,000 to put us in the league above. Now, our only source of income is either through sponsorship or through our merchandise store. We have a partnership deal with Ali Pali, but that doesn't include any funds. We don't get any of the gate money that comes through, or things like that. That may change through negotiations in the summer, but the cost, I want to be careful how I say this, but the amount of money players want is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We lost a player in the summer to a team above, and he got £100 a week to play, which isn't a lot of money at Stranger Things. But remember, you've got 25 guys on £100 a week. It adds up. Yeah, it adds up. And as I told you, I'm a civil servant. I certainly can't fund that. That's well without my remit. So do we go up and become whipping boys, so to speak? I think with Streatham this year, I think everyone was a whipping boy compared to Streatham, but no, I don't. That's not the journey and the path that I put us on. So when I took over, we had a 5-year strategy. I promised the Palace, I said that you'll have a trophy in 5 years. I guarantee. I guaranteed it. We did it in 3. Then COVID hit. And I managed to put on a sort of special team through COVID. We got elite status. We played a little competition for the IHA. And then this season, obviously, we just fell short. We got to the cup final. We fell short. The league title, we fell short. So 3rd time's a charm. I think playoffs, maybe we can get over that line. But it's the commitment level as well. Guys work. I've got guys who are A&E doctors. I've got building engineers. I've got architects. I've got photographers. I've got students. They all work. They've all got big commitments.
Yeah.
And I think the commitment level in NHL 2 is probably just a good balance of having that home life, because there's a lot of hockey widows out there. Like, there's a lot of, what, you're playing hockey again this weekend, you're training again, and that adds, as a man, that adds its own stress. Let's not lie, because actually, yeah, I should start thinking about this or thinking about that. But here's me asking them to give me their full attention, their full effort. It's tough. It's a tough balance. It's got to be balanced. Everything has to be balanced in life. So.
Yeah,
so
it is all about balance, and it just makes me wonder. You're talking about, like, when I played on the Isle of Wight, I played there, in the early '90s too, and like I think we had these amazing successful seasons where, we were runaway champions of the league, of the cups. I think we went a couple of seasons without dropping a game, and we constantly filled that rink up. We filled it up, and there was a buzz. There was a community built around, and people again were like, you guys need to be going up. And the blessing was that we had this tiny little ice pad that wouldn't allow us to go up. And I think that's the kind of thing, is like that was the success of the island, was we were used to playing on a smaller ice pad, but is the fact that we were just stuck in this league because of the size of our rink. So there was no chance of promotion, and nobody cared. The fans didn't care, and they still, to this day, that's like 30 years ago, will still say that those were the best times of ice hockey on the island, because yes, you were winning, but there was like this sense of community, and because there was a lot of people coming together. You're filling out an ice rink, you're meeting friends, you're getting your kids starting to play junior hockey, you're getting some kids starting to figure skate, and the rink becomes part of the community. And I think that where I mean, I've been over here a long time, and I know what ice hockey is in this country and what it can be and what it is probably best doing. But this whole idea of what players feel they can do, and I think that was the big thing for me, is like, are you going to be a full-time professional, or are you going to be a semi-professional guy who can make it's like some pocket money and some petrol money, have the camaraderie and the friendships that you make while playing team sports, as well as having a career. And I think it's this balance of ego. But I think there's a lot of guys who want to sign those just 50 pound a week more, just to kind of say that I'm when really no one's going to make it into the NHL. Not a lot of people are going to make it into the elite league here. So just play for fun, just
100%.
come out and maybe get you some sticks, your skates sharpened, and some rolls of tape and petrol money, and just play for fun, because it's such an amazing sport. And I think that is the beauty of what ice hockey can be, as a community building sport, especially here in London. And that's what, when me and the boys came and watched you guys play against Cardiff, I mean, they just were in awe of how friendly people are in the crowd. There's families, a couple of guys having beers, a couple of people having hot dogs, popcorn, and everyone just smiling. And that's the thing, Lee. I haven't even had a chance to talk to you since that game. I know we like at the end of the game, but there were people around me that were just like, this is amazing, and I'm coming back, and it's the best thing I've ever done. And they nailed it on the head with, I brought up my 2 kids and my partner here, and it cost us 20 quid. And that's what you're doing, Lee, is getting people in there to have fun. And I just wish that people could viscerally feel what I felt around those people. You weren't far from me, but you weren't in where I was, and feeling these other families around us just having such a great time.
I've not experienced that yet. And the reason I've not experienced that yet is because in my head, I still play. So every hit that they hit, I feel.
Yeah.
So I actually take myself away from anybody sort of public wise, so I can cuss, so I can like question everything. I still have that determination of, why are you playing like this? Like, move the puck quicker. Why did you turn back on yourself? Like, I'm still in that mindset. I do from time to time go for a walk around and meet people and thank them. Like I helped with the gate on Saturday, just checking wristbands, seeing how everyone was. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it is the same faces coming back now, which is great to see. And the feedback is just what you've said. It's been phenomenal. We have the best supporters. I know every team will say that, but our fans are now coming to away games. I think we're going to be having a supporters club next year. So we're always progressing. We're always trying to get to the next level, and it's all about foundations. Probably, I think once all these foundations are in, cemented, steady sort of cash flow coming in, then who knows? Maybe in a London Elite League team, eh?
Who knows? I mean, they've tried it before,
knows?
like we said. But I think that doing what you're doing seems to me better than doing what you're doing in another league, because I think you're going to lose out. And I'm not telling you to stay in that league. Maybe the NIHL one would be fine for you guys, but what you're doing, it isn't broken. So keep doing what you're doing for a few more years and figure it out. But like
I agree with that.
Yeah, you had to start new. Like the Haringey Huskies is a new franchise, new colors, new a whole new thing, and that takes a bit of time to build that brand loyalty. And I think you're doing an amazing job at it. And like I just want to kind of tip my hat here. I'll tip my hat to you. Well done. But you did mention something about like this is only your first year like as a retired hockey player, right?
Yeah.
So you quit. How has that transition been? Like because you're still involved in the game, how's the transition been from like strapping on the skates and being in the changing room with the boys, knowing that you're going to go out there and be in a physical and mental battle with an opposing team, to now other side of the bench? What's that transition been like for you?
Really hard, if I'm honest. Really, really hard. I've deliberately not gone to training. I've not went and watched training. I've not laced my skates up all year. I've not put them on. I've tried to like go cold turkey almost, but I go home and I go away games all the time, because I feel like Dan and Alan and Reese, the coaches, they need that support too. So if you think of a coach supports the players support each other, but actually, who supports the coach when things aren't quite going right, or they want to bounce an idea off, or they just want to vent because they know venting in the changing room will not achieve anything. So I have to be kind of that support mechanism for them as well. That's kind of the structure that I've put in place. Being an ex-hockey player, I know the game, so to speak, so I can advise. I can say, I think you may be going down the wrong path there, try this. So I'm there, bounce, but it has been really difficult. Because in your head, you can play forever. That's the thing with ice hockey. Yeah, I can play forever. It's not an issue.
Oh, dude, I'm 51 and I still think I could. I need a hip replacement, and I still watch you go. If I was 20 pounds lighter and in shape, I could get out there and shuffle around.
Exactly. It goes through your head every time, but it's eased.
What about the sense of? Can you explain? Like, is there a sense of loss? Like, this is how I try to like when you go from part of your identity as being the guy who straps the skates on and goes out on the ice, and then all of a sudden you're not doing it. Did you feel like you lost something? Like,
yeah. So what I think it's probably easier for me than someone who just retires and walks away from the game, because obviously it's my club, so I'm always going to be a part of it. I'm always going to be a part of ice hockey, and I'm always going to have input. So in that sense, I think that's where I'm quite fortunate. The bit you miss is the bit in the room where you're not I walk into the room, I'm not Lee, number 19. Like, I'm not that guy anymore. I'm Lee, the GM, and people might be a little bit, can't tell him this, we can't maybe banter here, we've got to switch up. Like, that's the bit that you miss. The jokes, the gross, smutty stuff, the ribbing each other. I don't want to swear. The sort of ribbing each other, whether it's some guy's got a new haircut or like has been on a terrible date, whatever it may be. There's just that on a Saturday or at midweek when you're training. There's that release. So that release isn't there now. That sort of banter and camaraderie. But I think actually the new role that I do within my work life, small team, like involved, there is that camaraderie and sort of teamwork. So I think I've been very fortunate. But do I miss the game? Terribly. Terribly miss playing.
Yeah.
I don't want, my head says don't play rec because I don't want to commit to something because I've got the Huskies. So I just, I'll get back on those wheels soon.
I think that anybody who's played a sport for a significant amount of time, whether you won or lost, you just felt that connection, and I think that again, that community. And when you stop it, it's a break in a cycle. It's a break in a cycle of things that we get used to. And I think that the terms that people can use, it's like a loss of identity. It is actually a bereavement. It's a sense of loss, and it's something that needs to be worked out. For me, like it was hockey to TV, and I didn't realize that there was a bereavement in there, and I covered it and I masked it. And then when it finally manifested itself in like loneliness and depression, I would use, negative ways to deal with that. And that would have been a lot of drinking and isolating. And I think that a lot of people, we look at, and I love Tony Adams. I'm going to go listen to him speak in June. But he, an amazing athlete, captain of England and Arsenal, and recovered alcoholic.
Ex-prison as well.
Yeah,
he was in Pentonville Prison, the boy.
Yeah, he's been a guest, but because he's Tony Adams, people listen to his story, and I think it's beautiful and it's inspirational. But what about the 99.9% of people who still go through the same sense of loss and bereavement when they stop playing their sport? And there's not a lot. There's zero support out for people like that. And I think that as long as we make people aware of whatever level of sport you played at or are playing at, there is a transition when you stop playing that sport. And there's a lot of foundations out there and charities out there for the elite of the elite. But I just like to make people aware that at any level, there is that sense of loss. And a lot of it, as you mentioned, is around the community, of the changing room stuff. And I think a lot of people that when they end, they say, I miss the changing room. What is it about the change? Because I know you had me in a couple of years ago to talk to your boys and stuff, but because you're making a conscious effort to say that you would like your changing room to be a bit more vulnerable. Is that the right word? Honest with each other, where maybe if a guy isn't having a great day, they can actually say, hey, I'm not having a great day.
So I got a couple of stories on that for you. So we were winning the championship. What's COVID 3 years ago, and I think we got beat 2 games. I think they were back to back actually, and all of a sudden this panic just set in. Honestly, like oh no, like so. They wanted a team meeting. So we had a team meeting and I sat there and I listened and everyone spoke and everyone was really respectful for everybody else speaking. Like everyone. And I sat there and I was just like, are you all finished? And they're like, Nick Alley. I was like, yeah, we're finished. I said, you're 8 points clear. Why are you panicking? It's just like, and then I went, oh, by the way, we've got 3 new guys training. That has got to be the best practice I have ever seen in Alexandra Palace by a team. Honestly, they were on it. And they went on to win the championship. But it just shows you that even at the top of the division, you still get doubt, you still panic. So we created a room that had to have a balance. Now, a lot of sports people that you'll see and in different sports will have egos, will be up their own ass, so to speak. But actually, we want a room that's balanced, that they can talk to each other. They will listen to each other, because listening is key. Listening to what the guy next to you is saying is very much key. And will work for each other. It doesn't matter about your talent, doesn't matter about your skill set or anything like that. Actually, if you're willing to just play with the guys next to you and across from you and give 100% for those guys, you will achieve everything that needs to be achieved. Yep, okay, there has to be some sort of skill in there, but that will just be naturally drawn out of you. No one needs to coach that. No one needs to shout you down or anything like that. Sometimes, yeah, as a team, as a collective, you need to put a rocket up your ass, so to speak. And sometimes individuals in arm needs to put round and just say, look, come on, you got this.
Yeah. It's funny,
But
like,
I'll go back. Probably the key thing for the room for me is I suffered a little bit of a blip in mental health. I went to some dark places through an incident at work. Didn't get supported greatly, in my opinion. I used to just come to the room, get changed, go through the motions, play the game. Didn't have any. I wasn't excited. I wasn't disappointed. I just was kind of numb. And that was going on for a couple of months, to be fair. It started out quite innocently. Started having flashbacks, started not sleeping. I was thinking, this is odd. Again, and I'm not ashamed to say this, but I was just being a big tough male, really. Yeah, I can get through this. When actually I couldn't. I asked for help. It wasn't really forthcoming in my environment. I think the saying for me is, someone said, "Oh, you're 6'2", you'll manage." And that was actually the bit that broke me, because I can't manage. I am spiraling quite rapidly here. But anyway, I got put forward. I went to counselling. Counselling was absolutely fantastic. I think it was 4 sessions. The 4th session, the woman at the time, we've been having some great chats, and the woman at the time, she says, "I've done it." She says, "I've unlocked the box. I know exactly what's happened and how it's happened." And she explained it. I'll not bore you with the details, because some of your listeners will not understand. And she did. She hit it bang on. And I just remember breaking down. Even now, I can feel myself now getting quite emotional about it, because it was quite scary. And she just unlocked it. So then I could start to recover. And luckily enough, I was able to sort of enjoy the end of the season. But the room didn't judge. I told the room at the time, like, they didn't judge. They just put the arm around, don't they? They carry you through what needs to be carried through, and that's what a room brings.
You know, the most successful rooms or teams that I've seen are the guys who play for each other rather than against the team across the hall.
Yeah.
You know, why have we got to beat them? That'll happen naturally if we play for one another, you know. And that's these ideas of like you've talked about. You use word non-judgmental. You spoke about your own vulnerability, and not being judged, but the idea of a 6'2" hockey player who's been in a few fights himself and can handle yourself, being able to say, "Help me" to somebody. And you know, we still live in a world where people think asking for help is a sign of weakness, when really it's probably the most courageous thing that you can do is say, "Help me," because the world can be perceived to be a pretty tough place, and there's a lot of challenges out there. But the help me is that we don't have to go through this stuff alone. And the miracles of I think we were talking before this, we can recognize the problem, and we can recognize that we don't want to, and that we're good people and we don't want to feel like this. But without some kind of program, without some, like what you went through in those sessions, we're not going to be able to unlock or do the change or the transformation within us needed for us to become recovered or in a state of balance. Yeah. So really, you know, what you've done, Lee, today is you've just really nailed it on the head to anybody who's out there who might be struggling. Is asking for help is a beautiful step. It's a sign of strength, and it takes courage. And I think I said this in your changing room, and I always use it when I end my talks is Rocky, right? You know, Rocky is one of the most, like, he's a hero, right? But Rocky never had to beat Apollo Creed or Clubber Lang or Ivan Dragoff or Tommy Gunn. Rocky needed to conquer his fear, right? They were the bit after he showed those emotions where he broke down in front of Adrian or Mick or something like that, and he cried and he said, "I'm scared," you know. And I just go, guys, why? Like, Rocky's Rocky, right? Yeah. There's a Rocky in all of us, but the thing that we have to conquer is those, as our deep emotional fears and traumas, and the way to do it is by asking for help. Which I'm proud that you did that, Lee, and the energy and the feelings that I have when I'm in Haringey and around your team and I see the guys playing is that you're doing good things there, and I really appreciate that. And I think that not only can people take a lesson from what you're doing by getting people in the rink, but also just in your lessons as a leader, and someone who's been like, "I'm having a bad day, folks. I'm struggling. Please help." That's a leader, you know. So you know, thanks for doing that. And I know we've got a few minutes left, so let's just do a little bit. 45 minutes was never going to be enough. Let's do a little bit with the little teams that you've created and what you're working in your day job, because I want to I'm a bit interested and curious in how you found camaraderie around that.
So I work for a department within the prison service now, called the Standard Coaching Team. So what that is that's at my rank, we have little teams. We go into prisons that have needed a little bit of a help in hand, and that's not because they're underperforming or not doing well. It's not like that. So what it is we go in and help upskill new staff, older staff. The systems change constantly. It's trying to streamline things and get things working better, more cohesively, better communication, which if we get all that right, the outcome to that is that someone in custody gets a more consistent sort of prison service, better access to things, can help rehabilitate and actually put them on the right path to not coming back into custody, but also gives them more cohesive workforce, a happier workforce, because they feel confident in doing their job. And the service has gone through lots of changes in different areas, and that's I think that's reflective of life, really, community, like young people coming into things nowadays. Obviously pay is a big issue. I'm not even going to go into that because we need more than 45 minutes, but yeah, these people have got to make these decisions are way above my pay grade, way above my boss's pay grade. But we work in small teams. We're in 3 different establishments. But what we do is we trust each other. We communicate with each other constantly. And that goes from my boss to his boss. It's constant feed of information, tools. You mentioned tools. People give you the tools to do the job, to make it better. Then we feed those tools into the actual establishments to help them do better. And yeah, it's about raising the standards, isn't it? I think no matter whether you're in the prison service or you're a street sweeper or a painter, whoever, I think we could all probably raise our standards a little bit and do a little bit better.
You've nailed it on the head. And I think that doing it, you know, the whole idea of, like, for me, it's about challenging old ideas that I was brought up with, you know, especially around being what a real man is. And just saying, you know, did it work for me back then to not being able to ask for help or playing through certain amounts of pain? with broken bones in my body. And, because if I was told that I was in pain, that I would get cut from the team. And, it was trauma causing, Lee, like things like, and I think if we can recognize that these old ways, a lot of people in the good old days, and old school this and old school that, and we're creating a world of cupcakes and snowflakes, because which it really bugs me, because we're coming out of like these ways that created a lot of trauma. And if you don't recognize it, then contact me and I'll really show you. These old kind of coaching or corporate methods of like and don't speak up and don't ask for help and don't show any emotion. Like we're designed to show emotion. So
Correct.
let's do what we are changing and we are evolving. And I think it's down to guys like you to lead from the front, to hold your hands out, and to bring particularly men who look like you along the path and say, hey, we don't have to look back in the past. Let's look for today and the future for solutions and the tools that we need today to help us process emotions. If we don't process emotions, they sit inside of us, they ferment, and guaranteed they're going to come out in an angry, aggressive way. That's not going to be helpful to you or other people.
Nope.
Well, that's our time, buddy.
Okay, that's quick. It's 45 minutes.
Why don't we I think we need to schedule again for another day, maybe in a few months. Like we'll get you in and we'll talk a little bit more. But I just want to say
I could talk, hopefully in a couple more months we'll have some more information on what the Haringey Mayor Adam is wanting to plan with us, so we could give
we'll do it. And maybe we could do some competitions with the Elephant and Castle community too, and get them some
100%. I was just about to say that if the Elephant and Castle community want to come up to Alexandra Palace and watch a game, I don't know. So Nick, you can choose. There's a family ticket there for whoever you want to sort of give it to, who interacts well. I don't know. The best comment on the video or whatever. Work away around. But
well, we'll do that.
If
you want to go see the Haringey Huskies play before the end of the season, you only got a couple more weeks left, right?
Yeah, so our last league home game is Saturday, and then we have. So if you want a ticket for the home playoff game,
game in 2 weeks' time, put a little comment in the in the feed, and we'll hook you up with a family ticket to Alexandra Palace, which is a beautiful day out. You're gonna love it. Lee, you're a good brother. You're a good man, and I'm proud to call you my friend. And keep doing what you're doing. And don't forget, folks, you can join me at 11 a.m. on Thursday for another Tough Through Tender gathering. The link will be in the feed as well, and we'll talk to you all later. Lee, thanks, brother.
You're welcome. Take care.
See you later. Bye.